It's my honor and privilege to call upon the Minister of Information and Broadcasting, Honorable Mweetwa, to address the nation. Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, PS. With the indulgence of my colleagues from the media, do you mind introducing a few of our colleagues who are here so that the media know exactly who is here, so that for purposes that they may wish to have certain further interactions outside from here, they know who was here, they know who has this information. Kindly do the honors. Thank you.
I think we'll start from the left. Going this way. Left.
Yes, PS. Yes, PS.
My name is Govt. I'm the Permanent Secretary for the Ministry of Clinical and
My name is Ronald. I'm the Permanent Secretary for Water Development and Sanitation.
My name is Mposha. I'm Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Mines and Mineral Development.
I think I've already introduced myself. No man spoke Papa, National Coordinator here.
My name is Govt. I'm Public Relations Manager.
My name is Bono Mupero, Director Livestock. I'm standing for PS Livestock.
I'm Dr. Stephen Mwale, Nkana Water Management Director.
I'm Charles Tumbo, Director of the National Water Supply and Sanitation Council.
My name is Mweetwa MP. I'm from Ministry of Information and Media, Director in charge of Press and Media. Dr. Raymond Ongas, the National Public Health Institute.
My name is Richard Dungu. I'm the Acting Director in the Department of Development in the Ministry of Green Economy and Development.
Good morning, Karen Bana, Director, Acting Director General.
Good morning, Christopher Kanema, Director Research, Knowledge Management at Zambia Environmental Institute.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Emmanuel Sakero, standing in for the Acting Director General. Good morning. My name is
I'm asking for water.
Thank you so much. Honorable Minister, over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. That pretty gives us the understanding of the consortium of individuals who are here at this very important media or press engagement. Let me begin by recognizing my colleagues, members of the press, fellow citizens across our country and beyond, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. We join the rest of the country from here at the DMMU on the occasion of updating the nation on one very important issue that as government we need to pronounce ourselves very, very unequivocally and clear. I welcome you to this very important press briefing called to update the nation on what government has done and continue to do to address the pollution incident that occurred at Sino Metals, Leach, Zambia Limited, earlier this year. From the time the unfortunate incident occurred, the government, through its specialized agencies, mounted a robust and vigorous response that has normalized the situation to the extent where government can confidently now assure the safety of the people in the affected areas. As the nation may recall, the pollution was in the form of slippage of acid and heavy metals into Chambishi Stream, Mwambashi and Kafue rivers following the failure of the tailing dam at Sino Metals. The failure resulted in the discharge of approximately 50,000 cubic meters of acidic tailing slurry into the aforementioned water bodies. Laboratory results show that the pH levels have returned to normal and concentrations of heavy metals are steadily decreasing, which means that the immediate danger to human, animal, and plant life has been averted as we speak today. All serious implications on public health, water safety, agriculture, and the environment have been brought under control. There is therefore no cause for alarm. The nation may recall that this incident occurred in February this year. That is to say, more than 6 months ago. There is therefore absolutely no need to press the panic button today to alarm the nation and the international community as to the safety of our water bodies, as aforementioned, and the relevant catchment basins and the environment. Ladies and gentlemen, the background of the incident is as follows. On 18 February 2025, government received a formal report from Sino Metals, Leach, Zambia Limited, indicating a failure of tailings dam TD 15F. Upon receiving the report, the government, through the Zambia Environmental Management Agency, ZEMA, acted immediately by issuing a suspension of operations at the plant, followed by a physical inspection on 19 February. This culminated in the issuance of an environmental restoration order of 21st February 2025, compelling the company to clean up affected areas, assess the extent of the environmental damage, and submit a comprehensive restoration remediation plan. Fellow citizens, the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment, through ZEMA, was immediately tasked to cross-monitor water pH levels and heavy metals in the affected rivers. Lime dosing was swiftly undertaken to neutralize the acidic content and return pH levels to normal. I am pleased to inform you that by early March, pH levels had recovered from elevated acidic levels to about 7, which is within the acceptable national and international standards. In addition, government has been actively monitoring the presence of heavy metals in the water, soil, and sediment. Preliminary findings in February showed elevated levels of copper, cobalt, iron, manganese, zinc, and lead or lead in selected sites, particularly in Chambeshi, Mwambashi, and Kafue River, near the confluence with Mwambashi areas. Appropriate remedial actions were taken immediately. As we speak today, over 200 water and sediment samples have been collected, tested, and analyzed. Compared to a few that some institutions or entities or individuals have collected and basing their argument upon. Preliminary results for 37 samples have been released, while 163 are still undergoing testing by an independent laboratory, Alfred H. Knight, in Kitwe. distinguished members of the press, following non-compliance by Sino Metals to appoint a qualified consultant to undertake a comprehensive environmental impact assessment, government invoked Section 107 of the Environmental Management Act and assumed full responsibility for undertaking the assessment, with all associated costs to be borne by the polluter. A call for expressions of interest was made, and we are currently finalizing the selection of the consultancy firm that will undertake further critical examinations and exercise to determine with much greater precision the state in respect of the issue at hand. Let me also acknowledge the decisive response from the Nkana Water Supply and Sanitation Company. Immediately after detecting normal drops in pH at their Ulangililo and Nkana East water treatment plants on 20th February 2025, both facilities were shut down to prevent the distribution of unsafe water to residents of Kitwe. Alternative water supply using bowsers was activated while chemical treatment trials were conducted. Upon restoration of acceptable water quality, both plants were reopened on 23rd and 24th February respectively. Today, raw and treated water quality continues to be monitored to ensure compliance with health and safety standards. In terms of public health, the Ministry of Health deployed rapid response teams in Kitwe, Ngabwe, and Mumba. I wish to report that apart from 3 suspected cases of food and water-related illness in Ngabwe, where the patients fully recovered, no major health complications or outbreaks linked to the pollution have been recorded this far. Routine surveillance is ongoing and no confirmed case or cases of acute heavy metal poisoning have been detected or reported. For avoidance of doubt, I want to tell the nation in no uncertain terms that no death resulting from the pollution incidents has been recorded since the pollution occurred in February this year. The Ministry of Mines and Minerals Development, through the Mine Safety Department, also acted with utmost urgency. All production operations at Sino Metals were suspended to allow for investigations relating to the incidents in issue. The company was issued with a compliance order outlining 12 mandatory corrective actions and was fined over 1.5 million kwacha, which it has since paid. The company has started giving out interim compensation packages to the affected communities for crop and soil damage for 2 seasons. Furthermore, the company has begun preparations for the decommissioning and rehabilitation of the failed tailings dam. Let me state that following this incident, government directed all mining and mineral processing companies to cease the disposal of acidic tailings into dams without prior neutralization. New tailings dams must comply with this requirement as a matter of immediacy, and existing facilities must transition by December 2025. Fellow citizens, government remains fully committed to holding the polluter accountable, restoring the affected areas, and ensuring that such an incident does not repeat itself. We are pleased as government that Sino Metals Leach Zambia is fully cooperating with government and is submitting to the dictates of our national laws and the international law principle of polluter pays. The necessary compensations of the affected people are on schedule, and costs for assessments and cleanups are being met by the company. As I conclude, I wish to commend all the ministries and agencies involved for their timely, coordinated, and effective response. Most importantly, I thank the affected communities for their patience and cooperation during this difficult period. We understand your pain as government, and I wish to assure you that government will continue to provide necessary support until the situation is fully resolved. I wish to encourage any individual or organization that comes across new information to forward and engage government on the same, so that together we can find a lasting solution to this challenge. Your government remains firm in its resolve to protect the environment, safeguard public health, and promote sustainable development for current and future generations. Fellow citizens and dear colleagues, the media, I thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister, Minister of Information and Broadcasting, Honorable Mweetwa, for this very clear statement. And colleagues, as we promised, we are giving the press time to ask questions, relevant questions, which are relevant to the subject which the Minister has addressed this morning. Remember, we have permanent secretaries here from key ministries, and I'll give the chance to ask 3 questions at a time. Be specific, straight to the question, and then we will answer 3 questions through the PSs in the technical ministries. So it's over to the press, over to our colleagues, the Fourth Estate, to ask first three set of 3 questions. Any volunteers? Yes, sir. Tell us where you're from. Give us your name, the media where you're from, and ask your question. First question, sir.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Barnabas. So basically, Honorable Minister, I'd like to understand from you. Like, why was there so much reluctance on the part of government and that to take a foreign government to announce to the nation to say that there was a health hazard, because people were not being provided with information? And the other part is, would you think that it would be prudent enough of government to declare this a national emergency, considering that even the Americans now, they have told the world that our rivers are polluted? So don't you think it would be wise enough to declare a national emergency?
Colleagues, ask one question. Don't issue a statement, ask one question. Okay? So we've got 1 question plus a statement. Let's get the second question, please. Stick to the subject matter, no statements, but a question. Thank you, sir.
Yes, and you are at liberty. If you have 3 questions, you are 1 person, ask them.
Okay, sir. The Minister of... Okay, go ahead.
All right, thank you very much for that guidance, Minister. My name is Mukwi Majilana from Millennium Radio. Minister, if one looks at the sequence of events and the public statements that have been made by the U.S. Embassy, public sentiment out there is that Zambia may have found itself in a crossfire of geopolitics between superpowers, the U.S. and China. So in line with what you have said, since you've indicated that there is no need for panic, what do you make of these public sentiments that there is that Zambia has found itself in a crossfire between China and the U.S. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The last question or questions from the third colleague, if there's any? No? Thank you so much, colleagues. Honorable Minister, I'll go to the Daily Nation, why the Zambian people were not informed. And green economy, yes, do you want to handle that? Or the Minister? Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much for that first question. I would like to invite the Minister for Green Economy to take it up so that we are on firm ground. Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Minister of Information. I wish to also recognize my cabinet colleague, the Minister of Water Development and Sanitation, the permanent secretaries, the NC, and of course you colleagues from the media. In terms of the question from the Daily Nation, from Baraba Zulu, as to why there was a reluctance on the part of government to issue information. That was your question. I don't think that was a correct position, that we were reluctant to issue information. We gave what we thought was necessary to give out. You recall that not too long ago, I did issue a ministerial statement on the floor of the House to update the nation in terms of what we are doing. First week of June, members of the press, you'd recall again that my ministry issued a statement to the effect that, and this has been echoed in the statement issued by the Chief Government Spokesperson, that during the first week of June, we did issue a statement as a ministry from my office, informing the country in terms of what steps we were taking to contract the independent assessor following the accident at Sino Metals. This was speaking to the invocation of Section 107 of the Environmental Management Act. Again, this is the information we're giving to the public in terms of what action government was putting in place. If you recall, when this accident happened, then we had two ministerial statements, I think around February. I might not have the dates per se. One came from my colleague, the Minister of Water, Development and Sanitation, and again I went to Parliament to issue another ministerial statement, again to inform the country in terms of what had happened on the 18th of February, in terms of the accident at Sino Metals, and also the follow-up actions taken by government. So we gave adequate information to the country. We gave what we thought was necessary, and we are here again to give information through you, the Fourth Estate, to the country in terms of what the position is. I think I've answered, unless the Chief Government Spokesperson wants to add. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. There was also a question relating to the state of the water that may not be safe, and for that I'll invite the Minister for Water. Honorable Njovu.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Let me state very, very clearly here to the people of Kitwe where this disaster happened. As the Minister has already stated very, very clearly, following that dam burst, the plant was shut. The acidicity in that water obviously was neutralized by liming. the heavy metals were being precipitated by gaseous chlorine. So the water we started giving to our people was of the acceptable pH, free of heavy metals. What has happened since is that we've continuously made measurements or tests of this water. The most important parameters, as you may know, for water quality include cyanide, manganese, zinc, uranium, lead, nickel, iron, copper, chromium, cobalt, cadmium, arsenic, mercury, and silver. Several tests we've carried out from our intakes over the last few months have revealed that all the tests, all the results are within the World Health Organization standards, acceptable for the consumption of our citizens. All the points, all the times. Remember, the Chief Government Spokesperson has clearly stated that over 200 samples have been collected and analyzed. Further, all the water, Kana water, has supplied to our people has been tested before supplying to people. Again, Kana water has been empowered with the necessary funds to ensure that even their laboratory has been upgraded. Quality control measures have been upgraded, quality control measures have been done very, very frequently. So assurance here is that the water we are providing to our people is of acceptable standards. I think let's not make any mistake about this. Further, other than just Kana water, WAMA is also collecting these samples and also analyzing them. Further, we have an independent consultant called Alfred Knight. Again, when you look at these measurements from the three institutions, they are all within acceptable standards. So I'm not sure where allegations that we are giving our people contaminated water are coming from. I thought I should clarify this. Very, very important. Yes, it's an independent laboratory. So there are three tests, three institutions we are using, and all of them are giving results which are very, very, very acceptable. So for those maybe who may be getting results elsewhere, I think we'll be engaging them as well, so that we jointly collect those tests, those samples, test them, and then come. We're very confident that we'll come to the same conclusion. We're taking every effort to ensure that we supply quality water to our people. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Honorable Ministers. And if I can just add the words to what has been already clarified, and maybe one question remains outstanding. Firstly, the question, why did it have to take a foreign entity to update the nation or cause? I think that question has been fully responded to. The nation was updated through the National Assembly or Parliament. And in terms of the hierarchy of government, when a ministerial statement has been issued through Parliament, it is deemed that the nation has been well informed, because that is the convergence point for the people's representatives, who then are expected through that ministerial statement to cascade that message down to their electorates. That is why ministerial statements are given. It is for the full information of the electorates. And now that Parliament recently, or is it last week, adjourned sine die, we do expect that these are the issues that the members of Parliament will be going down to tell their people as to what they have got as information relevant for the citizens. So, that question falls out if it were at court. The issue to do with declaring a national emergency or disaster. Declaration of a national disaster or national emergency, as the case may be, is a requirement at law that certain conditions should exist that should get government to a position where it can invoke the law relating to declaration of national disaster or emergency. And one of those preconditions is the scale or severity of the occurrence of damage caused or anticipated damage or consequence upon human life, as the case is now. So that scale of severity informs as one of the preconditions for the declaration of a national emergency. And that in declaring a national disaster or emergency, the nation is telling the international community of its incapacity to handle such an occurrence as a country, with full implications that with such declaration, you then are going to set aside the normal operation of the national budget and mobilize resources that have been apportioned to various spending agencies and redirect them into responding to this one issue. Hence, calling on the international community to come to your aid. That condition does not exist relating to this issue. The government of the Republic of Zambia, through the agencies as outlined aforesaid, has responded with full capacity. The scale of this occurrence is not one where, as a country, we are incapable. That now we must begin to suspend the budget to go and do tests. So, those questions, that's also for you, dear colleagues from the media. When we ask questions, let's know the implications of what we are asking. Taking that liberty, because you are my friends. So that's the situation. We don't have the conditions precedent for such a declaration. This is an issue which is within government's capacity to attend to with its agencies and or cooperating partners as need may arise. Then there's a question to do with geopolitics. That this you have seen on social media. You said
Public sentiment. Yes.
Public sentiment. Well, thank you for bringing that to our attention. That is public sentiment. That this is some geopolitics tug of war. For us as government, we are giving government position. And we are not alive to such kind of assertions. We are only confined to the situation as it is obtaining right on the ground and be able to give information relevant to the citizens. I must also indicate here that when something happens in the country, many citizens and entities are privy to those occurrences. And when one entity opts or elects to indulge into the release of information within their possession and knowledge, that does not change the course of action of government. In the like manner that President Hakainde Hichilema sanctioned and directed for conduct of a forensic audit over the Zamsa issue. And before government could release its findings, some entities and institutions found it opportune for them to run ahead of government over the information which government itself had set out to gather and inform the nation. So we can't blame anyone for such kind of behavior. We as government will inform the nation as and when it is deemed fit and the right time to inform our nation and our citizens. And we are not perturbed by the indulgence by any in the affairs as may be concerned. So I think we should have that in mind, because I know that there will be another issue next time and the diggers will flash a headline on Daily Nation. Does it mean they are the ones who make us do the things we do? No. Otherwise, if they are the ones who would have been seated doing nothing, waiting for headlines for us to react. That's not the situation. I thank you, colleagues.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. Give you a chance for the last question. Yes, sir.
Yes, good morning, Honorable Ministers. My name is also Kapuanka from Prime TV. Honorable Ministers, given the gravity of the health alert which was posted by the U.S. Embassy on their page, have you tried to engage them? We know that there are government relations between Zambia and the U.S. Embassy. And have you maybe instituted an international organization together with the US or any other government? Because this is not the first report, mind you. We did have an earlier report which was much more detailed than this, which the US actually produced. So have you engaged in that particular on that particular matter? And then the other question I have, just recently we did have a collision of civil society organizations. So we did have a collision of civil society organizations on this same matter, where
yes, you can proceed.
Sure. So we did have a collision of civil society organizations, a number of them, including Action Aid, BTIZ as well, and some other women-led organizations. And the matter which came up was issues to do with compensation of people on the ground. The initial report was that over 200 farmers were actually affected when that tiling failed. So the issue was that the compensation, the agreement on the compensation was the people on the ground were not involved during the agreement on the compensation. So I'd like to find out how government has been involved in this. We did see last week that there was a check that was released by Sino Metals to the people, but really the issue is that the inclusivity in the process of coming up with the compensation was really not there, because the people on the ground were not actually involved, and the extent to which the damage was done, because we're talking about livelihoods, people are involved in farming, aquatic life, and other issues. So how well is government involved in this particular issue?
Over to the Minister, sir.
Do we have any other questions? Because this was the last round of questions.
Last question, sir.
So do not say we didn't give you the opportunity to ask. Then you start relying on unreliable sources. Honorable Minister, do you want to have a bite on that one, please? Go ahead.
Thank you, Minister. I will start by also adding to what the Minister of Water mentioned earlier in terms of the testing of water which was being done. Just to add that when the accident happened on the 18th of February, we actually went beyond the affected area in collecting samples from Chambeshi through Mpongwe on the Kafue River, Ngabwe, Honorable Minister, up to Moshingashi area near Mumbwa. in all these areas, WAMA working with ZEMA, we've been collecting samples just to ensure that we are certain the quality of water in there. I just wanted to add that. Now, coming to the question from Oswald as to whether have we engaged the international community? Yes, we have. As a ministry, we engaged a group of ambassadors and high commissioners to brief them about this pollution. And we had a very elaborate engagement where they were free to ask us questions on what further actions we are taking, and we responded. And I must share, again, adding to what the Minister, the Chief Government Spokesperson has mentioned, our colleagues, members of the press, it's important that you depend on a reliable source of information. Anyone who decides to go out and make their own assertions, okay, we can only respect those assertions, but our position is that we must give the correct situation on the ground. So we engaged, and I can tell you one of the ambassadors in that meeting asked a question, for example, and said, has Cabinet tabled a report of some assessment that has been done there? And I responded in that meeting that there's never been a Cabinet meeting that discussed a report to do with the assessment on this aspect. And this ambassador goes out to insist that they had reliable information that Cabinet discussed such a report. So you can judge on your own. So on our part as government, we have nothing to hide. We engaged a consortium of high commissioners and ambassadors to just ensure that they get the correct information in terms of what we are doing, in terms of what tests are being conducted, and what further actions are being undertaken. The other part of the question was, have we engaged the civil society groups? Yes, we have engaged the civil society groups. We had a consortium of CSOs come to the ministry, and we had a very, very, very good engagement, including the issues of compensation that were raised. If you may permit me, the chair of this presser, to also touch on the issue of compensation, which we again raised with the civil society groups that have engaged us. It is not correct that the affected community members were not consulted. We had a team of experts constituted by Minister of Agriculture, comprising officers from Minister of Agriculture, Minister of Fisheries and Livestock, that went on the ground to speak to the affected community members, to take the measurement of the fields where we lost some crop as a result of the pollution. We had officers who went to assess the damage in the fish ponds along the affected areas. Now, this speaks clearly to the fact that the communities were consulted before we arrived at the interim compensation. Yes, you said that you saw a check being released, which was released by Sino Metals. Yes, that was now after undergoing the consultations anchored on the provincial administration, which was led by the provincial administration, and thereafter a report was released for the interim compensation, which procedurally had to go through Zambia Environmental Management Agency, who then now processed the demand for the interim compensation. And that is when Sino Metals, under that request, issued the payment to the affected communities. So, to allay your fears, it is not true that the community members were not engaged. They were fully engaged. As it were, there could have been one or two who are left out, but over and above, we want to believe that the majority of the affected people were engaged. Thank you very much.
Honorable Minister for Water, do you have words to?
No, not much, but just to confirm that when we receive any sentiments like we received from the U.S. Embassy, we will engage them, and we will engage anybody who comes with statements like that. Obviously, going forward, this will be done very, very frequently, including yourselves. All points they've measured, we also measure. For us, it's feedback, and we'll engage them so that we come to the same conclusions. I think that's just what we want to do. Okay.
Thank you very much. I think that this matter has been ably dealt with. And so for me to say that the nation should remember that this is not the first time we have a pollution from the mines. It's not the first time. It has happened before. It is pretty precedented. And such pollution has been dealt with before. Just like this one is being dealt with. Your government is on top of things. And the citizens of our country and humanity at large would do well to know that this particular New Dawn administration of President Yagayeje will spare no effort to ensure that a total cleanup is done for the restoration of the environment and guarantee the safety of our people and livestock and wildlife. That we're giving you as a guarantee, because that is within the capacity of your government. So we end here, but I will take the liberty now to indulge the nation that today is Thursday, tomorrow is Friday, and we are expecting a judgment out of South Africa. So as government, we want to appeal to our citizens to remain calm in anticipation, and that on the part of government, we stand ready to respect the decision that will come out of South Africa. And we want to urge all our citizens that whatever decision will come out of South Africa relating to the putting to rest of the remains of our 60th Republican President, Edgar Chagwa Lungu, all of us as citizens, we must be able to respect such decision, because we are law-abiding and we are one people. And whatever the direction it will take, we must all look forward to giving the former president a farewell that can be said to be dignified and honorable. Government remains desirous that the former president, Edgar Chagwa Lungu, be put to rest in his homeland, a country he once led as president, whose people would like that he be put to rest in that particular country, to account for the legacy of the tradition we have set for ourselves, that former president have a designated place of honor where they are put to rest in perpetuity, and that place holds dear the united memory of the contribution they made to our country, and also is used in symbolism as a site that represents national unity and peace, a platform upon which We must drive the agenda of developing our country. Thank you for your kind attention and have a great day ahead.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. I think it's my duty on behalf of the